For months, a Colorado parole officer noted a parolee was using drugs and skipping drug tests. None of it seemed to be a major concern for the Colorado Department of Corrections.
We know that because 9 News Investigates recently found that even in the middle of a relapse, the state found this parolee little more than low risk to reoffend. What happened next is why investigative reporter Chris Vanderveen has spent so much time trying to get previously undisclosed records.
This is going to be Highway 83, South Russellville Road.
The word accident conveys a certain lack of control.
Copy on the route.
Something unexpected, unforeseen.
We do have confirmed injuries at Highway 86 and Route 5.
It was just an accident. It was simply unavoidable.
We have confirmed 5 fatal, 2 critical. Flight for life is en route for Russellville.
But this was not that. Not when you consider.
And then just to confirm, sorry, that was 5? Well, okay. And which ones are children?
Consider the road that led them here stretches back not just a few miles, but a few years as well.
We are on the record for the Colorado State Board of Parole.
In 2023, and while in prison for assault,
My name is Walter Huling.
Walter Huling told the parole board he'd grown, he'd matured.
Given opportunity, you can make the best of it.
The parole board, in a discretionary move, agreed and released him 4 years into a 6-year sentence.
We'll conclude this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Huling.
6 months later, records show Longmont police caught Huling using mushrooms. A drug test came back positive, then another. He then missed a test, then another. 3 missed in 2 months. None of it upped his level of supervision. In fact, 9 News Investigates discovered the state actually lowered his risk score during this time, from moderate to low. The drug use continued. He's relapsing, noted as parole officer early last year, using cocaine. Another low risk score in April, and an even lower score in November.
You had a crash team coming?
Yeah.
1 week later, while driving a car he carjacked in Aurora, Huling drove it into Douglas County and caused a crash so severe.
I count 4 DOAs so far. I was told 5 though.
I was told 5 as well.
First responders initially struggled to find a 5th body.
So I'm trying to get my mouth right.
Yeah.
Walter Huling's autopsy told investigators he was in no condition to drive.
And what did that autopsy say?
That he had meth and alcohol in his system.
Crecia Varga's brother, Alvin Corrado, a sergeant in the Army, was in the other car.
I was his little sister, and he was always protective of me, and he took me everywhere he went, whether he was just driving around, hanging out with his friends, like he always take me with.
Also killed Corrado's 11-year-old daughter, McKinley, and 8-year-old son, Toretto.
It's left a unimaginable heartbreak in our family. Like, my parents had to bury their son and 2 grandkids, and for no reason.
Corrado's 12-year-old stepson, Jace, was the 5th and final victim.
So it is 5.
It is 5.
Okay.
I apologize.
9 News Investigates has spent more than a year examining risk scores of dozens of parolees accused of or convicted of high-profile crimes. We found errors everywhere.
You're inaccurately scoring your parole assessments. Isn't that a simple problem?
When the State Department of Corrections did its own review due to our investigation, it found a 98% error rate.
Some of us, quite rightly, are pissed about where we are today.
State legislators crafted legislation to address it. DOC leaders apologized.
I need to hear from you that you are taking full responsibility.
We accept responsibility of what has transpired, unfortunately.
But right as all of that was happening, Colorado DOC shut off our access to the assessments, citing the copyright protections of the company that sells the state the assessment forms.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they would hide behind U.S. copyright law to prevent us from solving a problem.
It's why DOC told us no when we first asked to see Huling's assessments, not long after this crash. 5 dead, no answers. We kept asking, kept appealing, and then finally, recently, a spokesperson for DOC said while we couldn't receive the assessment scores, we could review them inside a DOC-secured facility, in this case, the Denver Women's Prison. And so now, for the first time since this crash, we can report Huling's low risk score was the result of at least 3 errors. Sections 1.3, 1.4, and 1.5 all wrong. A misscore that led to less supervision, right as Huling was spiraling, using drugs, and heading down a road that would eventually intersect with the lives of 3 kids and Alvin Corrado.
We keep thinking it's not real, like that he's gonna call or walk through the door. A lot of anger, a lot of questions as to why that person was out.
An accident. This was not, insists Krisha Varga.
Because had they done a better job of monitoring, that man and my brother's paths probably would have never crossed.
In a written statement to 9 News Investigates, Colorado DOC called the crash itself, quote, a profound tragedy. It also added correctly that it has implemented a number of reform efforts since the start of our investigation as a direct result of our investigation. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.